right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Deconstructing the Narrative. My name is Erica Seha, and I'm a content creator here with SADA Collective. And today I have Miss Minolta with me. How are you, Minolta?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me, Erica.
Of course. So here at SADA Collective, we're really focused on, especially with this series, really connecting artists not only with each other but also with, the outside world and kind of sharing their stories, as we believe that's what really sets each artist apart from each other. So today we are going to be deconstructing Minolta's story, and I'm really excited to hear all about your journey and kind of what has made you, fall in love with your artistic craft. So if you could just give us a background about what you do and kind of how you got there. Just to begin.
Okay, great. Well, I am a musician, a poet, a model, an actor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I do a lot. My music and my writing really take the center stage in my life, and it's been a long journey. There's just a lot there. So what's the question? You want to know how it started,
Yeah.
I guess?
Yeah, I guess so. What kind of led you to doing, I guess, since you're saying music and, poetry is really a big part of what you do. What kind of led you there, and what, kind of, began your journey in that area? What made you want to do music?
Well, I started, I guess, when I was very young. I was always just really into music, into dancing. My parents used to play like Michael Jackson on the record player and like Whitney Houston. So I started out with the classics, and I just always had a passion for putting words to things that I couldn't necessarily explain in a way that was comfortable in normal conversation. So when I was very young, I started writing. I remember I wrote this poem about America being this big melting pot, but I was just a kid, and it got published, and I was really excited because I didn't think that I had this kind of thing, that people would want to hear what I thought, because I was like, oh, this is weird, and so I started writing very young. It's always been like an outlet for me, and when I realized that I could kind of put music to the words, it kind of just started to flow together.
Oh, awesome. That's so amazing. And is there a specific theme that you found that has been focused on throughout all of your music and poetry, or do you kind of focus on different, stories and stuff?
Well, I really try to just kind of let it flow. I definitely spend a lot of time writing about things that are important to me, that are happening right now. But I also, I write, love poems too. But I have a poem that starts, I don't write love songs. So it's just, I just kind of have to let it all out. Yeah. And I guess my goal is to find people that are weird like me, that get it. And I've been lucky to do that.
That's awesome. Awesome. And so what would you say that, your music has really led to, would you say that it has led to a bunch of other, outlets? Did you start with music? And I know you mentioned you also work on a lot of other types of art. So did you start with music, and because of that, did that lead you to all of the other things that you also do now, or were they all kind of something you would work on at the same time from the beginning?
Well, I guess it really kind of just all flows together. When I grew up in New York, I grew up in Queens, and then I moved to North Carolina. And so that was a really, really big thing. It was kind of a huge culture shock. And I think that is when I really started needing to get it out. So I was I was in middle school when I moved to North Carolina, and I was writing a lot. And then I met some people, and I started playing guitar. And I think that's when I really was able to put the music to that. But when it comes to modeling and stuff, I actually started that when I was just a kid. My mother had me in pageants and all that jazz.
Wow.
So it's just always kind of been in my life to be, in the arts, I suppose.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Okay. Question that for you, that I guess, just based off of your part and the part that you play in the creative industry, what role would you say that creatives in general play in in today, in our society today? Because, I feel personally, and we at SADA feel creatives are pretty much taken over absolutely every single aspect of like anything. Like you walk down the street and you see a billboard with a photo that someone's taken, that's a photograph. Or you'll, you know, be walking around and hear music in a store that someone wrote, you know, that's their art, you know. So like what would you say that like as a role does an artist play like in this society that we have constructed?
Well, art is very important. Art is everything. Art is life, you know. Just walking down the street, like you say, you don't even have to be in a store or something to hear the music, because there's music always playing. You know, there's a soundtrack to our lives, and every moment and every story and everything has its own soundtrack, and you can hear it if you listen, you know. Just the water going by, the trees, the birds, they're always playing. There's always music. So when you take that and you put that with creatives, I mean, think about, you know, the situation we've been in now with COVID. I don't think we could survive without art. You know, that's a big part of it.
I completely agree. And how has the recent situation with COVID, speaking of COVID, like affected the way that you work or your craft, I guess?
You know, it's definitely given me a lot of more time to focus solely on my music, which is, and writing, which has been, you know, I'm grateful for that. And there's also, though, the trauma that goes with it. So
of course,
I feel like there's a lot of pressure, you know, like if you're not getting this done and this done with your time, and, you know, and I hear and I see those quotes and I'm like, whoa, if you're getting out of bed every day, you're doing a great job. And I think that as a creative, like sometimes there's a lot of pressure to constantly have an output of constant just, you know, things. And with this situation, it's been in spurs for me, where sometimes I just want to write, I just want to play, and then sometimes I just need to be, you know.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I totally feel that. I feel like, you know, right now, like you said, there is a big pressure that like anybody, not even just artists, anyone in general who's like a working person, like you're supposed to be like completely 100% focused on whatever you're doing. But it's like sometimes we just need to relax, especially with everything that's going on. It's really mentally draining. So I know it's really affected the way that a lot of artists work. And what is really beautiful, I find, is the fact that I feel like there's a lot of artists who have taken what's going on and kind of ran with it and kind of made something really beautiful out of it. We've really, you know, discovered how much we should be appreciating technology and all these amazing things that we have at our hands, but then also we're losing that face-to-face, you know, contact, which is also really important for artists to kind of create. So I definitely think that I completely agree with you. You know, it's it's a difficult time to try to figure out like how we want to handle the situation and how we're going to go forward. So awesome. And then what is something like a real life occurrence would you say that has inspired you in like your music or your poetry per se? Like, is there one specific instance maybe from your childhood or from recently that you feel kind of was just like a really big turning point for you that you took and like made it into your art?
Well, I think I just touched on this a little bit, but I have, you know, I consider myself a mental health advocate. You know, I struggle with mental health issues and I battle them. I'm a warrior. And I feel like, you know, facing depression or anxiety and things, that gives me inspiration, because I come out of that stronger. And when I'm able to put that into my music, I hope that people that are in that same situation can feel those things. So, you know, just facing the darkness, you know, head on,
100%.
I think is really a big inspiration for me.
Totally. Yeah. And based off of telling those stories, like, have you received any like really pivotal responses because you are touching on something that's so important, like mental health? Because I know how important personally in my personal life too, mental health is. And is there any like responses you've gotten to your music or someone that's really felt like connected to it because of the fact that you're speaking about something so heavy and so important?
Yes, and it helped me because, you know, I had put out a song and it was doing pretty well for me. I was happy with it, and I didn't really get, you know, that much feedback at first, and this person, this one beautiful person reached out to me and they sent me a message and they were like, wow, I really love that song and it really spoke to me and I totally get it. And you know, it helped me too. So it was like the back and forth. They were like, that really, you know, helped me. And I was like, that really helped me that you told me that. So it was so amazing. I was just like, wow, that's exactly why I did it. Thank you.
Yeah, and those instances totally like keep you wanting to just keep doing more and more and more to get those responses.
Even if it's
so
one
special.
person, I'm just like, yes, thank you so
That's
much.
amazing. I love that. That's awesome. Perfect. And is there anybody who in your work like really inspires you, like any musicians or even any other type of artist that you see that just like are really huge sources of inspiration for you in your work?
Oh wow. It's difficult to pick just one, you know. I'm just like constantly trying to expose myself to new artists, new people, and I'm inspired by my friends and the people around me, and just, you know, it's difficult to just pick one artist. But kind of on what I was touching on, if you really open your eyes, like I walked by this mural the other day and I was like, everyone's just walking by it all so fast, and I'm like, have you seen this? Do you see what we're walking past? This is amazing. So I just feel like if you open your eyes, you know, it's everywhere.
Awesome. Totally. And so I guess this is kind of going off of that. I don't know how easily you're going to be able to answer this, but is there like a dream project that you just like would love to work on, like with a specific person or just by yourself, like just something that like you really dream of doing within your career at some point?
I dream of going further and being able to connect with more people, having more of a reach, and in terms of like a specific artist. Not necessarily, but there's many genres that I would like to branch out into.
Okay.
I did say that I play guitar, so I feel like it's when you mix that with hip hop and spoken word, it gets it's an interesting vibe, and I love that. And I also, though, I'm a big raver. I love to go to raves. So like
Oh
if
my
I could
gosh, no
get
way.
yeah, so if I could,
Me too.
you know, you do?
Awesome,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, how much do you miss raves right
Oh my
now?
gosh, I'm dying. That's
Right?
awesome. They're
Yes.
so inspirational to be at. I totally love them because they're so full of creatives and like I don't know what maybe what you go to, but I go to a lot over in I go to eForest a lot in Michigan. I don't know if you know what that is. Yeah,
Yes, I do. I
so
go to
it's
a
a
lot of
big
insomniac events. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So it's a big, they're just big sources for like art. You walk around and there's all these like huge displays and sculptures and everything and artists everywhere. So it's just like amazing. And it really like just inspires
Beyond
me.
Wonderland.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That makes me so
Yeah.
happy to hear.
Absolutely. And then also there's just so much community. It's just like positive
Yes.
vibes. People are looking out for each other. Everyone's, you
Uh-huh.
know, just like super welcoming. There's a lot of body positivity, and like
Yes.
I just love the community. And so
Yes.
ideally I would love to work with an EDM artist and really get
Awesome.
some stuff out there with that. So yeah.
That would be amazing. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. You just got me so excited.
Yeah, me too. Like,
Awesome.
what? Follow April.
I know. It's not very often you hear that anymore. It's kind of sad. So, that's
They don't
amazing.
know what they're missing.
I know, honestly. I think it's like one-sided, but I don't know. I just like you said, it's the community that's so special. And I think it's just so inspiring to be there. I leave every time and I just want to create so much. And I'm sure you are the
Yes.
same, you know, listening to the music and just being around the visuals, like everything is just so it's just so invigorating and amazing. So that's awesome to
Oh,
hear that you like that as well. Awesome. And then what is like something like one big piece of advice you would give based off of like the experience you've had thus far to up and coming artists of any kind to how to navigate like through this creative community?
well, you know, I definitely I move around a lot, and the creative community is different kind of in every area that I've been. So I'm from New York. I lived in the South. I went to College of Charleston. Then I traveled around in an RV in Florida, and
Wow.
then I converted my camper, or like my SUV, into a camper. But anyways, then I went to California, where I'm based, and then London, where I am now. So
Oh wow, it's
yeah,
amazing.
so it's just like all the artist communities are different in those areas. And the one thing that is the same that I could like say is the advice is like, don't take it personal. Don't
Mhm.
take anything personal, because you're going to meet critics, and you're going to meet people that love you and people that love you to your face, a lot of that in LA. And you just can't take any of it personally. You have to be secure enough in yourself and know who you are, and know why you're making your art, and don't give a crap about the rest of it, because you're going to meet some amazing people. But there's also, just like the light versus the dark, there's some people that aren't going to be, you know, supportive of your career. And you have to just be in yourself. So it's like you can't take anything too personally, and don't let it discourage you. If you don't, you know, if your song doesn't, your first single doesn't hit the top of the charts like I thought my first single would, you know, because you have these ideas, you have to keep going, and remember why you're doing it, you know.
Yeah, and like I feel like at the end of the day, you know, like as an artist, like we do what we do for us, you know what I mean? And I think we lose sight of that sometimes, especially when you want to be so involved in like social media, and like, or like you said, like with you with the charts, it just becomes very, you know, it becomes very hard to, and you lose track of what's important and why you started. And I feel like a lot of the time, you know, we start like, you know, with your journey, you really want to speak about the things that are going on in your life. That's you telling your story, and this is a way that you're telling your story. So I feel like, you know, a lot of times we begin that way and then get so lost in everything else that's going on and wanting to promote, and it just gets really difficult, and you doubt yourself. And I know that's, you know, really hard. So I think that's a really great piece of advice, is to just stay on track and keep in mind like what you started and why you started and why this is important to you. Because I don't know, I feel like, you know, if you're doing what you love, success will come, you know. And I think that, you know, that's just the most important thing for anybody in any area, you know, of study to remember, is just to kind of be in love with what you're doing, and then everything else will kind of just fall into place. So that's awesome.
And exactly what you're saying too is like, you define success, you know. The definition of success is not the same for everyone, and you know, you define that. So that's
exactly. Yeah, awesome. And then I want to talk about a little bit about your travel, because you just mentioned how you've been, you know, all over the place. So what has propelled you to travel throughout all these places? Is it moving because of family, or has it been choices, or
I have a bit of trouble staying in one place for so long. But I do find a lot of inspiration in having new experiences, and I leave places that I love sometimes, but then I find new places that I love, and sometimes I don't love them, and then I leave. You can always leave, you know. I like being able to be, you know, free in that way. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I learned different things about music. I was in Barcelona for a while, and I met the most incredible community of artists that were super supportive and so loving. And I learned a lot there, and that, you know, some of that influences some of the music that I make, and that goes for everywhere that I go. And you know, I just try to keep everywhere that I go with me. So like my concept of home, you know, it's really cheesy, but home is where the heart is. So home is wherever you are, and you can go anywhere, and you can still be home, you know.
That's awesome. And out of all the places that you've been, I know you mentioned Barcelona was really great, but what are like some of your top favorites in terms of like the creative communities there, with really great tight-knit creative communities?
Yeah, Barcelona was very tight-knit. I met some amazing people in Los Angeles as well. I don't want to downplay it. I love LA, and it was difficult though. It was to kind of be well accepted, but I did meet some amazing people. Being from New York, obviously, I love being in New York, and London is just awesome. People want to collaborate. There's just so much, you know, and I think that I really feel like anywhere you go, you can find it. It might be harder in some places. And that's why I'm saying, like, don't get discouraged, because but I mean, those are some of my favorite places. Oh, and also, like, I'm very much so inspired by the South. You know, it's weird. I feel like it's not acceptable for Black people to say I like country music, but I like a lot of country music. I'm a hip hop artist predominantly, and I still like a lot of country music. I listen to so many different things, and I'm inspired by them. So
that's awesome. You never want to stick to one thing, especially with music. I feel like it's so diverse, and you can pull so many things from so many different genres now, and a lot of them are like coming together. Like speaking of like EDM, there was like a song that I heard the other day. It's like Galantis and then like Dolly Parton or something, and I was just like, what is
Oh my
happening?
God,
Yeah, it's so crazy,
yes!
but it's so good and fun.
That's bangers.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh my gosh. So I feel like they're all blending together anyway. It's like you can pull inspiration from so many different places, especially within music. It's so awesome. Awesome. And then I guess last but not least, we're just asking this question to everybody. It's a fun question, but I guess for you, it's even better because you do music. What's your favorite song right now?
Oh, goodness gracious. What a toughie. I'm putting me on the spot here. You know, oh goodness. I'm like, should I just like pump up my friend's new single? You know, it's hard to say what my favorite song. You know what I've been listening to on repeat though for some reason. It's the song. While we're talking about EDM, it's Steezy Wonder, and God dang it, I can't think of the name of it. But it's like, Sun is a merman. I don't know
if I heard
so
that
it's
one.
the Steezy Wonder song that it's just been like, I'll like, it'll end and I'll be like, again.
It's one of those. You like play it 10 times until you're just like, I cannot anymore. Yeah.
And I'm just I'm so weird like that, but I've been having a little headbang party, so.
That's awesome. I love it. Awesome. Well, Minolta, thank you so much. It's been so much fun talking to you and hearing all about what you do, and you've been such a light to have on this episode of Deconstructing the Narrative. So thank you so much. And I wanted to open up the floor to see if you have any specific contact information where anybody watching this can reach you if they need to.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thank you.
So my Instagram is at Minolta Araya, which is my name. My website, minoltaaraya.com. You can find me on Spotify. It's just Minolta, and iTunes, all title, everything. It's just Minolta, and Minolta. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with you all, and I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, everybody. So go ahead and hit her up if you guys have any questions. And thank you guys so much for watching episode 3 of Deconstructing the Narrative. It's been so much fun speaking with a bunch of different artists, and every interaction I've had has been so different. And it's just been so special to kind of be able to break down all of these different stories and kind of hear what you guys are working on and kind of what has led you to doing what you're doing. And I really look forward to speaking with everybody else. And if you are a creative or you have any creative friends who would like to be a part of the series as well, you can go ahead on our Instagram, and in our bio there is a link to the application where you can apply to be a part of this as well. So thank you again, Minolta, and thank you everybody for watching, and I look forward to our next segment. So I'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.